My name is Stroud. I'm a ginger wearing a dark blue shirt. I use male pronouns. Behind me is a zoom background of our beautiful endangered planet at night. Here's part of a nonfiction essay I wrote about assault called Freeze. A hand brushed my crotch as the subway left the station. We were crammed inside the E-train. I was heading from my gay-friendly neighborhood to a midtown Manhattan office. More commuters pushed into the car. I got shoved into a metal pole as the doors closed. Fingers stroked the front of my pants. A bead of sweat trickled down my armpit. I looked into the face of a balding man with a comb over. He was taller and heavier than me, but his size shouldn't have intimidated. "Back off," I yelled. Then I punched him, but only in my imagination. My voice was trapped at the back of my throat. I couldn't move. My arms and legs felt as though they were weighted down by 400-pound dumbbells. His eyes were transfixed behind me as he held the silvery pole with one hand and fondled me with the other. The train stopped. He stopped. More people packed in. I couldn't breathe. When the cars inched forward, he began tapping my zipper in a perverse Morse code. He was grinning. Perhaps he believed I enjoyed his touch. With my eyes, I pleaded for him to stop, but his gaze didn't meet mine. I felt like vomiting. I hated myself for my inaction, my weakness. I heard a ding when the doors opened. I shoved past the people between me and safety. Once on the platform, I fell to my knees as New Yorkers marched on with their busy days. I didn't talk about the incident for 20 years. Because it happened in public, this time was different. But it wasn't my only sexual harassment or assault. In a Fire Island beach house, I agreed to room with Tom, who snored. No one else wanted to be his roommate, but I was a heavy sleeper. I woke up one night. Tom was filleting me. I was silent when a designer named Calvin was inebriated in a crowded East Village bar. He grabbed my ass twice. And at 30, when I was date raped by Eve, an HIV/AIDS prevention social worker who disregarded my clearly defined limits. And in college senior year, I auditioned for a play. "Unbutton your shirt," the director said. "I want to check out your chest." In sophomore year, a blonde bodybuilder named Ken invited me to his apartment. I was 20 and naive. After we kissed, he wanted to have sex. I said no. "Shut up or my neighbors will hear," the rapist said, clamping one hand over my mouth while pulling down my jeans. Even in childhood, it happened. Like in the third grade. "Your mom sent me to pick you up. Better get in," a middle-aged man called from his car. I was walking home in my Cub Scout uniform. I refused. "You'll be in so much trouble," he said. Why me, I wondered. I'd been called a faggot at school. I must be broken. Of all the kids, he picked me. And I didn't tell after my biological father forced me to join him naked in bed. I was 6. Along with my innocence, these sexual violations robbed me of my voice. I felt humiliated because each time I failed to defend myself. In 2017, when Me Too started trending on social media, I hesitated to contribute to the conversation. Women have it worse. I didn't want to distract from their struggle. But a gay guy I knew wrote about being a rape survivor. Speaking out could help others, he said, so I posted too. I needed to tell my husband before he read it on Facebook. "Take a look at my feed," he said. He'd also added the hashtag. Though we'd been together for 8 years, the conversation offered the chance to reveal kept secrets. In the years since, we sought help, both as individuals and as a couple. Therapy helped me begin living with greater transparency. I've learned we're not alone. According to the Center for Disease Control, nearly 1 in 4 males experience sexual violence with physical contact during their lifetime. And it happens to all kinds of men: straight, gay, bi, cis, trans, non-binary. My sexual orientation wasn't to blame. I've strived to forgive myself, especially after discovering that sexual victimization as a child can contribute to a higher chance of re-victimization. I now see I wasn't adept about identifying danger cues. Low self-esteem was another contributing factor. And yes, in some cases, I could have made wiser choices, but it's clear. The aggressor is responsible for his actions, not me. That morning hour on the subway, I was already carrying a quarter century of shame. No wonder I didn't defend myself. A natural response to an attack may be flight or fight, but it may also be freeze. Trauma can impair the brain, leaving the body unable to function. I wasn't a coward. It's always bothered me why out of all the individuals on the subway, that creep chose me. It's not because I boarded from a queer part of town or because I look gay. The answer is simpler. The perpetrator tested me. When I didn't react, my silence led him to believe he could continue. This year, at 54, I'm determined to take back my voice. To all those men who felt they had the right to my body without my consent, I say now what I couldn't then. Stop.